got here? Let's get started with the people we got here. We're going to talk about, I'm going to start with Textivate and going to answer as many questions as we have on that. And then with the time that we have left, I will go on to Gimkit. Just to start, Textivate is my go-to technology in class. If you asked me if I could only have one, what would it be? It would be Textivate. Just because it's so versatile and there's so much you can do with it. And I know that I'm still not doing everything that I can do with it. So I'm going to show you a bunch of things that you can use it for. Yeah, I think it's such a wonderful tool that can differentiate right out of the cut and paste for yourself. If you have a document or a story that's typed up, it's literally as quick as copy and paste to use it. So I'm going to share my screen. I've got myself already logged in. If I can find it. And
I'm thinking just for German teachers, just to throw something in, is I use Deutsche Welle a lot, and they have like readings and short videos and transcripts of those videos and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking that this would work well with that for my upper levels. So
yeah. The only thing that I've got to say is be careful with copyright infringement. And
Deutsche Welle offers it all as PDF downloads and all that kind of stuff. So it shouldn't be an issue because they offer all that as a resource to teachers to download and use in PDFs, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so that would make it super easy to use with this.
Right.
So basically, what I do here now, this is one that I have already created for us, and this is, you'll come in to Textivate, and when you get here, it'll look like you can use it right out of the, well, where did I go? You can use it right out of the gate, but you do need to log in, and then login is up at the top. It's pretty blue, but look, you've got a little paint thing here. If you don't like blue, you can change your colors, and just have fun with it that way. So now I would copy and paste in my text, and it would appear there. I have the ability to add terms to it, vocabulary. All right, I can add whatever the term is, and then it's equal sign, and whatever it is the equivalent. I can do it this way, or down at the bottom, you'll notice I have switch matching items. I can flip it, make it so that I have Spanish on one side, or German as it were, and then English on the other. It's going to depend upon how you want it to appear when you use those terms. Do you want the students to see English and have to pick from a list of German terms? Or do you want them to see the German term and have to choose from a list of English terms? And so that'll determine how you set this here. But as you can see, it's as easy as switching it and then saving. Once you've made saves, if you go back in at any point, you can click here to save any changes that you've made that you want to be saved. Okay, so I'm going to show you what Textivate looks like first, and then I'm going to show you some additional things that you can do. So I have my text, and I've added some terms. Let me also say that if you have vocabulary lists that are in Quizlet, you can export the list, copy that list of terms, and paste it in here and just adjust it with the equal signs, and super fast. So I often will not even put in a text. If I just want them to play games with vocabulary, boom, I can copy and paste it in here. We click Textivate, and then they'll only have the option to do matching. Okay, so now, text and match, this is what you're going to see. Students, if you share the link, will come here. Okay. And there's different things. I could share my whole thing with them. I can create what's called a sequence, and I will go over that. I can create a challenge, which is like a classroom competition, and I'll go over that. Students with these options would have the ability to do text, working with the actual story you've inputted, or working with the terms that you've entered. If you don't enter terms, they just won't have that option to do match. If you haven't entered a text, they just won't have that, and they'll have match. So the more you enter, the more they'll be able to see. You can do flashcards with the text, and she is S. And it's just a matter of practicing, you know. And with any activity, I can't hear you. Did you say something?
Okay. Are you, so we see she, he, has, and then TNA popped up.
And so if it's correct, I say, yep.
So did you type that in, or?
I've typed, so I'm going to go back and show you. I'm glad you asked. So this is part of these terms.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when I added all these in, it automatically does this. So as long as I've added that in, it now creates all these activities with what I've given them. So
right, but when you were answering, did you type in TNA? Did you click a highlighted thing? That's what I missed.
So this is what comes up. She is S. Yes.
Oh, and then they just click yes, that's correct, or no, it's not.
Yes, or if I know it, okay? And then, so there's a million different ones. Snap. No, click here to start. There is R. Is that the same as like, and I've got a, she gives him her, and I do it, if it's the same, I get it, and go back. I'm going to be honest, there are some of these games that I don't know how to do it, and my students do know how to do them because they just love to play. Like they all love to play the soccer game. I think it's a pain in the neck, but they love it. They answer a question. They can decide if they're going to play with a person, first person to 3 points, then they would click that off, or to how many points. Playing for how many minutes, click that off and that. Is it a 2-player game? Then you would click that off if it's 1 player. And then when you start the game, you answer a question and then you get to take a shot. So you've got those games. I am personally fond of multi-match. And here's where I show you the differentiation. You can choose 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 10. So it obviously gets more difficult. Remember, I'm working with the text only now, or I'm in the vocab, I'm sorry, I'm with the match right now. So there is or are. Now I have 3 that I have to choose from to find my correct answer. And I click on it. I am soy, right? Now I can go back. I can restart the activity if I'm a student. I can go back. And I can, you'll see if I do 1 and 10, then I've got 10 things that I've got to pick from. There is or are I. Okay, and so students can have the option, you can give students the option to work with those things. So, you've got millionaire.
So do they have the option, or can I set it up a certain way I want to?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Depends on how you want it to be. If you want to give them the option to pick, when I do challenges, they pick the activities they like to work on. When I have something specific I want them to do, then I assign a specific activity, and I'll show you how to do that.
Okay, and also when you created the vocab list under match, after that, did it then automatically highlight those terms in the text orange?
Yes.
Ooh.
Isn't that
awesome.
nice? And I'm going to show you something else when I get over to the text as well. So you've got click match, which is kind of, you've got a she walks. I click on that. Which one is she walks? Camina, and then you have to match them. You know, and I have to gradually go through soy, I am, and you go through that. I'm just doing all of these to give you an idea of what some of the activities look like. I won't go over all of them. If this is something you like, you can play with it, but you have, like I said, oh, I don't know how you play that one. I got to be honest. My students, I don't know how you play that one. What are the other ones? Jumble. He is very happy.
Oh, I like that.
A typo in there. Contento.
Yeah.
Right? What do you call yourself? Como, te. And they've got to click the words in the right order. Okay. There are just so many options. And then again, I can go back. No, I didn't want to go that far back. And I can click on text. We can do the same thing with the text activity. Now, you have to decide what works best for your students. Like, you can work with tiles, and anywhere there's an arrow, down arrow, that means there's choices. I can do 2 by 3. 4 by 6 is like if you're angry at them. So watch, this is 2 by 3. They're going to read chunks of the story, and then they have to put it in order. So I would just drag it and put it in order. That's the first one. And then I would just keep dragging them till they're in order. But I can, so that's 2 columns by a total of 2 by 3. And then look, 4 by 6. Only if you're angry at them. Right? So I would never do that one. I would
Right.
because I could get as much done. I mean, 2 by 5 is still difficult, right? It's a lot. It's very busy, and you want to use a controlled amount of words. You don't want to do like a long one. I think it's easier, instead of doing the tiles, I prefer horizontal, which is the same activity, but like this. I think it's easier to work more linearly that way, to drag and drop. And again, you've got all those. Multi-choice is one that I use all the time. They've got to start putting the story in order. They're going to reread the story and put it. There is a boy. His name is Roger the Romantic. And I just have to keep adding my sentences in and putting the story in order. So I can do that with 1 and 3. I can do it with 1 and 4, 5. I can play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And they just, same thing, they have to put the next part of the story in. So there's so many great activities they can do. They can play the soccer game with this. They can do the jumble. They can add missing letters to the words. There's Snake and Invaders. Invaders, I think, is very stressful. Kind of like the Space Invaders game. Okay, so those are some of the games. And again, you can go through and play and see what you think is good. Generally, if I'm going to make an assignment for my students, my go-tos are horizontal, multi-choice, million, and those are probably my most, depending on how long then my text. If it's a short text, I might do next word. Jumble, depending, again, if it's a long text, it's going to become exhausting. So those are some good options that you can work with. Click match, like I said, is another favorite of mine. Now, let's go. I want to show you one other thing. If you're working with your text, this is going to be another great thing that you can add. You can add, like, go back to the home thing. And we've added the text. We've added the match terms. Extras. Now, extras are great. You can add things to it. I can do text to speech. So you choose your language and text to speech for your main text. If I want to do it in the activities, in the matching, if my German's on the left, I could choose German and do it there. Or if I have my German on the right and I want them to hear the German, I could do it there. So you have text to speech for any language that you want that's listed there. All right, so that's something that you can add in. If there's a video that goes along with your text, you can add the URL for your video and it will appear to the left. And I'm just gonna grab a video real quickly so that I can show you what it'll look like. So let me, YouTube, I'm just gonna grab a video. It's super easy, the URL.
So while you're doing that, so we have an account as a teacher. We set all this up, and then our students have to have accounts as well?
Well, they don't have to. They can. And where's my wildebeest? It like, because I know some of you have said that your schools would not allow you to have anything that's not like Microsoft or
Disney Plus.
Well, I don't want to hear that. So yes, you can create accounts for your students, and I'll show you how to do it. It's a matter of copying and pasting a list. It creates a login, it creates their password, and then it has a grade book for you, and I'll show you all of that.
Now, is that the creating classes, is that all included in the fee that we pay as a teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's super easy to use. I'll show you mine. So if I add a URL, I just paste it in. If there was an audio, I could do that. If I had an image URL, I could use that. Here's the most important part. You can have a parallel text. So if you want them to see the story as they're working with the vocab, or as you want them to see the vocab as they're working with the text, you can make that visible. And I'm going to do that. Use your matching items as parallel text. So I would check that. Use your matching items as parallel text for text activities. Okay, so I'm under extras and I'm just scrolling down. I can use my matching items as a parallel text for my text activities. I can also use my main Textivate text, my story, as parallel text for my matching vocabulary if I want to. I don't have to. And then you can also choose to exclude. If there are activities you don't want them to bother with, you check them off under text activities or match activities, and they will not appear for the students. They won't be given as a choice. Okay, now watch, I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back in and I'm going to show you what those things look like. Saving my changes. Okay. So now I'm going to go to Textivate. If you look up here, I have an icon for a clip. If I hit that icon for if students hit that icon, they will now be able to watch the video that I've attached to it. Okay. I can leave that on if I want, but where is my, because I'm not seeing my extras. I want to see that. I want to see that. I'm going to remove this because I want you to see my as I go in to my Textivate. It is not showing up for me there.
Is it because you have them as your original text down at the bottom?
Oh, you know what? It might be, I know what I'm doing wrong. I apologize. My brain. As I go into the activity, it'll show it to me if it's available. So now look, here I am. I'm doing match activity. There's a paper at the top. I click, it will allow me to see it, and now my text pops. So if they need, as they're doing
so
this,
they can see it in context then.
Exactly. So now let me go back and I'll do it with a text, multi-choice, 1 and 3. And again, I've got the vocab up there because I've got that selected up here. So they can see the vocabulary as they're going through if they need vocabulary support.
Mm-hmm.
I also have the ability to add a separate, if you had a reason to add a different parallel text than the story, you could do that. I myself have not had a need to do that, but in extras where you type parallel, you can enter a parallel text under extras itself if you just wanted to use actual text.
So I could see you using that, like if you wanted to do point of view, like you want the story to be in the yo form, but now we want to rewrite it in the tu form, or we want it to be in the ella form, and now we want to write it in the ellos form, so that they can see the differences between singular and plural, or first person, second person.
All right. Somebody's got a lot of noise going on with their microphone. If maybe you could mute, I'm not sure. Thank you. Okay, so classes, super easy. You'll see I've got little people icon down here. And that is where I'm going to manage my students and my classes. All right, and it's a matter of, if I want to add a new class, it's just click new class and it'll bring me to here. I name my class and then I can copy and paste a student list, boom, and put it in there. And then I would save it. Once I do it, students can then log in using teacher username and their own individual password. Okay, so I'm going to show you. So like I have a 6th grade class. I have a list of all of my students and they've all got a password, which I've kind of adapted a little bit so that there's one, like if they don't remember their password, I know it's got to be this, a combination. And then I don't generally assign, you can assign through here. I could assign links through here to them, sign in and get your link. I prefer to assign the link in Google Classroom. Yeah. Or whatever your platform is. I don't like assigning things in a million different places because the waters get very muddy and they're never sure where to look. So I try to have one centralized place, so I don't use this so much. But it is super easy to copy and paste this in and it sets them all up for you immediately. And then once you have that set up, when you assign something to them, you now have the assignment that was given, and you can select the class and see number of activities. So I had 5 activities in this one. How many out of 5 they've completed, how long they spent on it, what percentage they got on it. I usually use Textivate. We don't have bells in my school. And so I use this, they come in, they grab, there are usually like 1 to 2 activities per day. So they come in, they grab an iPad and they jump on and complete 1 to 2 activities per day while we're waiting for everybody to get there and get settled. Otherwise, I feel like I'm wasting time and it drives me crazy because they linger and wander, and this is more useful of my time. So now, how do we assign things to students? Sequences are a great way to do that. A sequence is just a list of activities that you want to do. All right. And so I could add text activities. So I'm gonna delete that and show you one more time to make sure everybody's watching. Getting rid of it is as easy as clicking the X. I can add a text activity or a match activity. Remember, text is playing with the story. I choose the activity. Until you get to know them real well, you might have to go back and forth a couple times. It'll save them. If you like put one in there and you go back, you can come back and the other one will still be there. So maybe I would want, I like doing paragraphs 1 and 3. And I don't really worry about split by word count. I just leave it real basic. You can have the text to speech on or off if you want. I don't always do it. You can set a target. What percentage do you want them to achieve to be able to move on? I encourage you to set this low. I encourage, yeah, I know it sounds great. I want them to get this and they'll keep retrying. However, there's something about, and I don't completely understand this, there's something about the way that Textivate is set up that the more, like if they're just randomly guessing, it's going to work against them. And their percentages are going to come out wacky. So I just basically say, I say like 60%. They got to get 60% or above. If you set too high, there's going to be some that'll never get it, no matter what stars they are. So I can add as many text activities or match activities. Maybe I want to do click match, same thing. I usually set my target to 60. If I decide, oh, I want them to do the match activity first, I just click the arrows over here and it'll change the order. Because it's going to take them through them, they'll finish them. And when they log in with their student account, they'll just go through one. And as long as they're logged in, if they don't have time to finish this one, they finish up the one activity that they're on, it'll save their progress, and then they can pick it up from there next time they log in.
Now, so if you have click match times 6 first and 1 and 3 second, and their target is at 60, what if the kid wants to do 1 and 3 first? Can they do 1 and 3 first, or do they have to finish click match times 6 first?
They're gonna have to finish click match first.
Okay, cool. So you can scaffold it the way you want to as well.
Yes, you can design how they're gonna come in contact with them. And again, just like when we did the activities, any activity that they start, they can restart it if they're not liking how it's going. The one thing you're gonna have to warn them about is that they're going to see 2 buttons. They're going to see restart and restart sequence. If they hit restart sequence, it's going to erase all of it, all of the activities they've done, and take them back to the beginning. If they hit just restart, it's just that one activity. So some of them are click happy and boom, they've clicked restart sequence and they're like, oh, it took me back to the beginning. I'm like, sorry, that really stinks. But you're gonna have to start over because I won't be able to see it.
Okay, Tracy has a question. She says, what if the next day you want them to do something else and you don't care if they finish the other activities or not?
Yeah, then that's fine. Yeah, I mean, like, when I go to my grade book, Tracy, I'm gonna be able to see, because how often it really doesn't matter. And so if I'm working on Brandon Brown and I want to see, you know, it'll show me how many activities they've done. I can click on details. Like this kid did 4 out of 5. And it's going to show me how much time he spent, what percentage he got on whatever he did do. I can always go back and check if I want to. But if no one ever does anything, it's not a big deal.
What if they only do 4 out of 5, but the next day you're going on to a new text? Does it make them finish that 5th activity before they can go on to a new text?
Oh, no. Not at all. This is an independent activity. I'm glad you asked that. And then, so how would I assign this to my students? If you, first of all, I got to save it because I've made some changes. Okay, so if I want to share this with my students, sometimes I share it on my website, that you can get a link. We created a sequence of activities together. If I go over here, this is the icon for sharing. These are the 3 little things that stick out to the side there. If I click on that, it's going to give me a link. Now, if I share this link, they're going to come to this Textivate thing, or the next page rather. If I want them to see just the sequence of those activities, I put it here. And then this link, I'm going to show you by copying it. And see, I have the ability to share it with the class here if I want to share it with them in Textivate, but I don't want to. I share it in Google Classroom, and you can share a link in Google Classroom. But I'm just going to show you that if I paste that link, that's the first activity that I've assigned them. And so they'll do that. And here, as you can see, restart or restart sequence. If they hit restart sequence, they're starting back from square one. Restart would allow them just to restart the activity that they're actually on.
Naya would like to know, when would you introduce Textivate activities in your class? Would that be after a story and W and D?
Oh, so at any point, depending, like, so in many cases, I mentioned how I use this at the beginning before class. I will often, at the beginning of a week, so the sequence, I'll assign a sequence at the beginning of the week, and I'll have 2 activities every day, and Monday and Tuesday, they're working on matching activities with the vocabulary. So getting lots of repetitions with the vocabulary. And then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, they're doing activities with the text so that they're playing with the story that I was telling and working on Monday and Tuesday. And still doing more things with it. So there's really not a wrong time to add it. I also want to show you another activity that I have. Anything that you create, you save it here, and it'll give you all this information. You name it, you decide whether it's public or shareable or private, and then you save your changes. But then once you've saved it, you can use the little magnifying glass to find activities. You can find public resources if you want to search on them. I usually only use my own, but this one, I created one, and instead of putting vocabulary, I put comprehension questions for the text.
Oh, I like that.
Right? Now, if you're like me, I do most of my comprehension questions. I've got them stored on Quizlet. So I import those, paste them in, and then I just have to put my equal signs. Right? So if my students go in now and they want to do, I have them do match, multi-match 1 and 3. What they have answers. They've got a multiple choice question that they've got. Here's the thing. Generally, students can always go back and see the questions and answers. That's not good, because if you want to count this as a grade, there's one little thing that you can do, and I'm going to tell you. There's a little tiny button down here in the corner that says protected. And if you check off protected, when you get a link, it's going to be scrambled so that they won't be able to see the original Textivate that has a nice easy thing that they could get back to find this. So when I get a text, hold on, I haven't created a sequence, so let me create a sequence. Text activity, or actually matching. If I create a match activity, let's say I add multi-match 1 and 3, and then I add another match activity, and I add click match times 6. Okay, so I save this with my little floppy disk. How old is that? Oh. Kids don't even know what a floppy disk is anymore, right? So I then want to save this because it's protected. When I get the link to the sequence, it's a much longer, look, it's got all 9 million numbers, right? So they're not going to know how to find that original text. so that when I go back here, if I assign this link to them, they get here, they can still see the text, but now they've got the questions and they don't know how to get back to that original. Because I've clicked protected. It's a great way to do, you know, and then there's no grade. It's done for you. Right? And again, you've got lots of different options for activities that you could do with those questions.
And they do have, so like, let's say if they did it and finished it and they didn't do so hot on it, they could hit restart and do the activity again, correct?
Absolutely.
So it does offer that chance for them to go back and improve if they want to.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a nice thing. Because I can go in then, I can go into my grade book if they're not paying attention, and I can say, look, you're really not, you're not hammering this really hard. Let's go back. You only got a 32% on that first activity. Why don't you go back and start doing them again? And if they've completed the whole thing and they go back and do it again, I'll just get another entry for this student. It'll show activity 1 again. They would have to go through to get to the ones that they wanted, but then I would see twice. Like you see Alexandra up at the top here. She went through some more again. So I would just have 2 listings for that student and I would go through and I would take the higher score. Any questions on that?
We do have a question that says from Doreen. She wants to know, is there a free version of Textivate, or if not, how much is the paid version?
So it's in pounds, but I believe it comes out to $65 to $70 a year. I still haven't shown you the one activity on it. I think it's worth its weight in gold. There's just so many ways that I can use this. Kids enjoy it. There's a competition. You can create what's called a challenge. And this is where the beauty of the differentiation comes in. With a challenge, I pick the text that we're working on. And the students then all join teams. And you can set team names. I'm going to actually show you how to do that. New challenge.
So one more question while you're setting that up. It says, is it $65 per teacher per year, or can a district purchase it for many teachers? Like, is there a subscription?
I believe it's per teacher. The gentleman who created it, his name is Martin Lapworth. He's very responsive. It would be easy to reach out to him. He would get back to you right away with an answer on that.
Okay.
I'm the only teacher in the district, so I don't have the answer to that for you. All right, so if I'm going to create a challenge, I want to, at the end of the week, reward my kids with a game. This gets them so wired and excited. So I'm going to name this Roger. I have to add a resource. So I pick the one that I want to, it's just as easy as clicking off the title of the one that you want to use. And then I close it out. So now Roger's there. I don't make them password protected. You can if you want. You can have students log in and then you can keep track of them. You can. It's all a matter of your choice. You can create teams. The one thing is that this is really sensitive to caps and spaces and all that stuff. So if they all decide they're going to be the blue team and one has a capital B, or one spells blue wrong, or one does it in English and one does it in German, then you're going to have 37 blue teams, right? So I often go blue, and then you separate them by semicolons. Blue, green, I would obviously do them in Spanish, red, okay, and you separate them. And then that's it. I save it. Now I've created a challenge. Now, if I want to share this with my class, I can share it in Textivate, or I can share
Use the link.
And when you share the link, you as a teacher can always come into your challenges that you've created. I should also go back in and edit and show you. You can set dates for it, like when will it start? Well, when will it end? Because you could hypothetically have the class competing against each other all week, and the team that gets the most points by the end of the week gets X, Y, or Z. So you can have start stops. But when you start this, you have the ability to view it. So this is what the students will log in and join a team. Blue, green, red. And then you just click auto refresh. So as teams get points, it's going to start popping up the different team names and how many points they have. So it's on the screen. I project it on the screen for the kids. They go insane because what happens is they click on this box and it takes them in and they have free run to do the activities that they like. The ones they're good at, the ones that they enjoy. And it doesn't matter. They're getting all the repetition. I mean, I say to them, don't do the flashcards. You're not going to get points. Don't do this, you know, the soccer game. Don't spend too much time on it. You're not going to get a lot of points. You know, and they get funny because some games get more points than others. And they'll discover who's getting points, who's getting more points. But they're like, the other classes, the other teams will say, well, how are you getting all those points? We're not telling. And they're all like trying to hammer the points. It gets very competitive. Lot of fun to work with. And then you can just, you stay out here while they're working and it's up on the screen projecting their points. So they get so engaged in that. And just think of all the repetitions they're getting with the terms or the questions or what have you. So.
Elizabeth wants to know, she says, I assume that they see when they are done with the match activity, their score. Can they see their correct answer of the ones they missed, or can they see the correct answer of the ones they missed? So what kind of feedback, I guess, does the student see when they finish an activity?
They'll see their percentage correct, the number wrong. They do not see the corrections. They do not see this was wrong, it should have been this.
Are they able to see which ones they missed?
No, at the end of an activity, hold on, I'm gonna go back, see if I can do a quick one for you. I'll do a millionaire for you and show you what I get. Let's see, match, memory, text. Where's my millionaire? I got no millionaire. All right. Oh, there's million. Okay. So, okay. Johnny Depp. La música de Enrique Iglesias. All right. See, I got wrong. So it says you have only won $1,000. Questions answered correctly. 2. Time taken 15 seconds. Try again and try to win a bigger prize. And then I can show records and, you know, all that stuff. So they don't get a lot of feedback, but when you consider that they have the parallel text, they can always go back and double check and try it again, you know, in that way. Other questions on Textivate? It's, like I said, it is my go-to. I use it many times in a week for different purposes. You could also, hypothetically, if you just wanted them, without creating a sequence, if I just wanted them to do this one, I could go to this activity and copy and paste that and send that out, complete this one without creating a sequence. So open the activity that you want them to work on, and then copy the URL and save that. Oh, no questions on that from anybody? We're feeling good?
I'm just reading comments really quick to see.
That's fine.
I did post a question.
Yes, please.
Oh,
Do
did
you
I?
use it more than Conjugamos, or do you think that this is better than Conjugamos?
I do enjoy this. I use Conjugamos a little bit. I use this much more. Conjugamos has a lot of value. I don't teach. I teach more. I'm more adquisition driven, comprehensible input. I'm not as grammar focused. So I will occasionally go into Conjugamos and do a grammar activity just to cement something, a question that has occurred in class, but I am primarily teaching through storytelling and movie talks and things like that give them repetitive exposures to the structures that I'm teaching them. So this way I can really focus it. I have Conjugamos too, so I don't want to say that I don't use that. This one, I just find it is so adaptable to my stories, and my stories are personalized each time by my students, so they change regularly. So it's so easy for me to take what we do in class, quickly copy and paste it, and throw it out there for them.
Okay, because Conjugamos isn't just grammar oriented. I use it primarily for vocabulary, but they have crosswords now, and they have matching, and they have a lot. Some of these activities.
They do. I find that this is more personalized and meets my storytelling needs more. Yeah, I mean, I know it's got the vocabulary. It's got some great listening things as well. It's a fabulous tool. This one, yeah, there's so much that I can tailor it to my needs specifically with.
Okay, so can the kids do a quiz type activity from home virtually, or do you think that this will only possibly work in the school classroom?
Oh, gee, no, this is going to work virtually. Absolutely. I mean, you can create any of these activities and share it through Google Classroom. Any way that you have the ability to share a link, you have the ability to share it with them. I mean, and then you've got your grade book and it's all recorded. I mean, it's such a headache saver for you because it's got the grade book and it's all, it's done for you.
I think
is this multi curriculum, or do you think this is geared more towards just foreign language?
They can see me.
Use this with any like history readings. You could do it with anything that's going to require vocabulary or comprehension questions that's going to be using blocks of text. It would be a great tool for.
I think that Mary had posted about some stories that were being recorded on Loom, or even the Flipgrid listening activities that some of you guys are recording for us that we've shared within the group. I think we could use Textivate with those activities.
Absolutely.
As well.
Exactly what I was going to mention, Sunny Ray. Thank you. The plumber has finished his duties, so I feel I can now speak. But yes, there is an opportunity for us to as German teachers, to translate stories from English that are already written. And so if you're new to CI and you don't have a plethora of stories to draw from, there is a link, and you can sign up to volunteer to translate one of the stories that's already written in Google Slides for us. It's already accompanied by pictures, and then if native speaker, non-native speaker, any dialect, any accent, whatever, the more exposure we have for our students to other speakers, the better, I feel, because they'll have to try to comprehend many different people. And so, if we each volunteered to do one or two, that would be a total of 50 stories, CI stories for us German teachers to draw from. So if you have not yet volunteered to translate and record to Loom, please consider doing that. I did one. It really wasn't that difficult. And creating the Loom is just such an easy way to record. It's amazing. But so I just would like to encourage you to do that. And then it would be absolutely great for us to, on top of that, I'm thinking, Sunny Ray, we could type up vocabulary and story questions on Quizlet to go with the story that we personally translated. And then we would be able to use Textivate or other means, you know, of putting these stories together so that we can
import them.
Yeah, and easily import them, as we can see that Amy showed us, and be able to use this with us only having to do the work of one story, but we would have access to 50.
For anyone
So
that
quite amazing.
For anyone that doesn't know how to import, I'm sure there's got to be people that don't know how to import with Quizlet. If you open up a set on Quizlet, they have 3 little dots. Mine's all in Spanish, and I apologize for that. But it's 3 little dots, and 1, 2, 3. The 4th one down is export. And when you click export, it gives you all of your cards, and you just copy the text. And
Brilliant.
so when you copy
that out, it was a game changer.
So that's I use my Quizlet sets for Textivate that way. I also use them for GimKit that way. That's how I create my GimKits.
Yep, me too.
GimKit to be a pain in the neck to create sets. So create them in Quizlet first, and then to make my Quizlet sets, if you're not already doing it, I type my Quizlet sets in a Word doc. Question, tab, answer, copy it and paste it into, if I'm going to create a new set, this is just in case anybody doesn't know, you name it, but you can import from Word and Excel or any Google Doc. So I click import, and then I can now paste anything I want right there, and it puts it right through. And so it's super easy. It's easier to do it in a Word doc and copy paste it that way than to create each one in Quizlet. It's much faster. Because you can think a lot faster in German, whiz it out on a document in 5 seconds. It takes much longer to tab over here, get over there, so yeah. So definitely, I mean, in the desire to save time, you want to do efficiency of movement in what we're creating for survival for the fall. So don't do work that you don't have to do. Write it in a document, tab between the question and the answer, copy and paste it into Quizlet, import it, save it, and then import it, or export it rather, to wherever you need it. Other questions? We have not gotten to GimKit. Bah! Spent a lot of time on Textivate. I just can't.
That's great. I mean, Textivate, I personally have never seen it before. I've been using GimKit, so that's not as big of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But Textivate I have never seen before, and so I was really interested in seeing what that looks like, mainly because I think it has a lot of options that we are kind of using with Quizlet and GimKit together.
Yes.
So, but we have lots of these CI stories, goofy CI stories that we've created or the kids have created with us. And this would be something that we could then put into Textivate and have all types of activities. And I love the differentiation that's available. So,
and you can also print these activities, right? So if, let's say you're in the classroom and you want a hands-on, if I do like a gap fill, I can print this. I just click print. So I mean, if you don't want to do it if you don't want to do it technology wise, you can click that button, and if you can see, do you see my print screen?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It creates a fill-in for them with a word bank.
Very cool.
So it's another option for you. And I'm going to cancel that, but I want you to notice down here on the bottom, like with my word gap fill, I can choose how many gaps. So if I only want them to have 10 gaps, there it is, 10 gaps. So I know there's going to be lots of little bits and pieces, tiny holes that I've forgotten to mention with you, but as you play with them, you'll find things out.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to goodness, I would take this website over many others.
So Elizabeth, yes, the video will be posted later on on the CI group page, just like we have with all the other videos. So that way you can go back and watch what you missed, or if there's something you want to go back and just watch again because you weren't 100% sure. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It just takes me, it's the one on Monday it was longer, so it took a long time for it to upload. That's the only thing holding me back. So as soon as it's uploaded, I'll shoot it up there and get it available for you all.
Very cool.
All right.
Awesome.
And I guess we just need to decide what our next one is that we're going to be talking about.
Perhaps the next one could be Gimkit. I've really appreciated seeing Textivate. I did buy it, and I've been playing with it a little bit, but this was amazing, Amy. Thank you so much. I love PD with Amy.
Thanks.
You know, it's just great because, and then thankfully, since the plumber was here doing his thing, I get to go back and watch this again. So I appreciate that very much, that your PDs are available on your DMS Spanish YouTube channel, as well as here on our Facebook group. So, and I'm hoping that I would encourage you to share this with your other German colleagues, because everybody is going to be in a panic starting in August. We still have absolutely no idea what our classroom situation will be looking like here in North Dakota. Some of us might have an inkling, some of us have no clue. I'm thinking that as soon as we start out, it's going to change within the first week. So let's be prepared for any and all things. Like I said last time, let's put as many different types of fruit in our basket as we can. And that way, if we need apples, we can pick those. If we need peaches, we can have that, you know, and then we won't have to be in panic mode. That's the goal.
I see.
So,
Textivate is a major headache saver on a fronts. You know, if you just get comfortable with it. If, as you're using Textivate, you come up with questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to me. Also, he has a blog and it answers all of those questions. And he's also very responsive. His name is Martin Lapworth, and he's a great guy and is very helpful.
Hey Lauren, that's fine if you're not comfortable doing a loom, but don't forget about the flip grid. Just because you only teach level 1, that's what the flip grid is. It's all topics for level 1. So feel free to go in and record and answer the little questions that are in the prompt for our level 1 stuff. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, and you can keep it simple. My name is Amy. My name is not Fred. My name is not John. My name is Amy.
Right.
What is your name? You know, it's simple things like that.
Yeah.
Also for Lauren, I spoke with the gals at Storytime German, and they said it's absolutely not a necessity to be a native speaker of German, nor is it a necessity to have everything absolutely perfect. I tell you what, better done than none. I'm a quilter, and I don't know if you gals sew or quilt, but better done than none instead of freeze to death all winter with no blanket, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, you know, we're gonna help each other. It's gonna be better than nothing. It is something that in the future maybe we could improve, but hey, let's get something, because when we all help each other, you know, we're together in this. We are all trying to support teaching German or foreign languages in the United States. And, you know, we want to be able to make sure that all programs are as strong as they can be, so that when our administrators take a look at what we are doing, they're going to say, hey, whoa, they've got something going on. We can't lose this. These people are amazing, right? So yeah, let's do what we can, and let's do it in the summer so we can prepare and not sweat it out this fall.
Yes.
Yeah. So Amy, do we want to say maybe next week we could do a Quizlet Gimkit combo, since the two of them kind of play nicely together?
Absolutely.
And a lot of us probably have Quizlet, and then we can see how we can take our existing Quizlets and flip them into Gimkit.
Absolutely. Talk about seasons and class competitions and long-term competitions in Gimkit.
Yeah.
Assignments, creating classes, the whole 9 yards with that.
Yeah, I think that might be a good, you know, a good transition. Yeah, and combo. And then maybe we can look at the following one being maybe using Loom recordings or using Screencastify. I don't know, you know, we could think about what recordings are out there. If you guys want to drop in the comment section, what type of recording format are you using? Are you using Loom? Are you using Screencastify? Are you using?
It's good, but you can only do 5 minutes because it's pay after 5 minutes. So you have to create a bunch of short ones to put together. That's the only downside to Screencastify.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think last year at least Screencastify took the 5 minute limit off, and you could do as much as you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I was able to record on Loom for 6 minutes today, and that went fine. Loom is just so user friendly. It's incredible.
Yeah, Loom does not have a time limit. It's free to teachers for good. They've permanently made it available. So I think Screencastify is a great tool. I just think
I just know it's it's the one that's the Google extension, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I know a lot of schools who are Google schools are being encouraged to use that. So that's the only reason why I was throwing it out there.
Yeah.
For those of us who are concerned about using Loom, there is a little tutorial, very, very short tutorial. It's really clear, and just follow the steps and you'll be able to record.
Cynthia wants to know, since she doesn't use Quizlet, can she create vocab lists from scratch?
Yeah,
absolutely. You can create them from scratch and then use those in Textivate. You can create them from scratch in Gimkit. It doesn't really matter.
Cynthia, do it the same way that I described making the comprehension questions. In a Word document, write the word, whether you want English first or German first, tab the word in the other language. Copy and paste them. You can import them into Quizlet. It'll be super easy.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? You know, we use Microsoft Projects, team meetings, and PowerPoints, etc. Okay. All right. I think
Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. And hey, don't forget to watch Hamilton on July 3rd. Woo! Not that I'm a fan or anything.
Okay, so next week we'll do a Quizlet Gimkit combo, and then we can talk about next week what we'll do the following week then.
Fabulous. Thanks for coming.
Awesome.
Reach out with any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome. Adios.
Thank you, Sunny Ray.